Suddenly, some of the munches began regaining their senses. One of them, confused, asked, "What am I doing right now?" As they came back to their senses, they were struck with intense headaches, a side effect of Hakal's control over their minds. One munch held his head, gritting his teeth in pain. Another shouted, "Are you guys back to normal now?" Another asked, "Is the curse of domination lifting?" Bali quickly called out, "Regroup, everyone. The real fight is about to begin." He then looked up at the clouds, seeing a red aura swirling within them, and said, "I've never felt such wicked energy before." Suddenly, something emerged from the clouds and crashed into the earth. Shocked, Bali exclaimed, "What on earth is that?" The impact shattered the ground, killing some of the minions instantly. Sweat dripped down Bali's face as he gritted his teeth and shielded his eyes. He called out for Aiden, who was standing in front of him, while High Priest Kirtle struggled to keep his balance. Aiden, also sweating and gritting his teeth, told Bali, "Evacuate everyone to safety immediately. Get them as far away as possible, and out of the church." In front of them, through the dust and shattered ground, an evil, dragon-like figure emerged, Talos from the underworld. Talos inhaled deeply, smelling the air of the earthly realm, and said, "What a beautiful, dreamlike world. I'm shocked that such weak, pathetic creatures can survive here." Seeing Talos, Aiden thought to himself, "Damn it. Damn Hakal. He brought something unbelievable." Even the Underlord beside him remarked, "I never thought I'd see him here. This is unexpected." Talos, smiling, asked, "Who summoned me here?" At that moment, Hakal stepped forward, clenching his fists, and happily said, "I summoned you here. I'm your master, and I gave up half of my life force to call you." Hearing this, Talos gritted his teeth. Hakal continued, "Now you have to obey me and kill all these people." But before he could finish, Talos pointed a finger at him and killed him instantly. With a crazed smile, Talos said, "I thought my summoner would have a delicious soul, but you're filthy. I don't want my first meal to be your soul." Aiden thought to himself, "Talos, the Underlord demon who brought destruction upon the world in my past life. He's intelligent, so he must be a high-ranking Talos." He continued thinking, even most sword masters would struggle to fight him. In my previous life, I could take him down in one go, but not now. Suddenly, something caught Aiden's attention. When he turned, he saw that all the minions, even the High Priest and Bali, had collapsed to the ground, unconscious. What the hell is happening? He wondered. A blue-purple aura was swirling all around. The Underlord explained, "Talos has a special skill called elusive fog. It drains the life force of those who breathe it in, trapping them in a nightmare. But of course it won't work on you because you have me." Aiden, still gritting his teeth and sweating, thought, "I think I knew this Talos. But who is he really?" The Underlord then revealed, "This Talos is Mephisto, the Talos of deceit and cunning. He even had the audacity to scam me in the previous life, but in the end, I enslaved his soul." Hearing this, a small smile crept onto Aiden's face as he thought, he tried to scam the Underlord? He must be out of his mind. Suddenly, Mephisto appeared much closer to Aiden and said, "What a fascinating human you are." Aiden was startled and thought, when did he get this close to me? Mephisto continued, "You can move just fine, even in my fog. I wonder what your soul is like." Sweat dripped from Aiden's face as he thought, as expected, he's a high-ranking Talos. Just standing in front of him puts me under extreme pressure. At that moment, the Underlord reassured Aiden, "Don't be afraid. Mephisto isn't complete right now. Hakal's summoning ceremony was unstable, so Mephisto doesn't even have half of his original power." Aiden, relieved, replied, "Really? Then I can manage against him." Mephisto sneered at Aiden, saying, "My poor, weak prey." Aiden smirked and replied, "Yap, yap, yap. You talk too much, Mephisto." Hearing his name from Aiden's mouth, Mephisto was shocked, his eyes widening as he asked, "How do you know my name?" Aiden gripped his sword tightly and said, "Your name is famous even on Earth." Then, mocking him further, Aiden added, "You're the pet Talos that the Underlord dragged around like a dog." If you need tips on how to trick him, I can help." Enraged, Mephisto shouted, "Pet Talos? Tips? How dare you? I am a noble among Talos." Furious, he prepared to attack Aiden, saying, "Ignorant human, how dare you say that in front of me?" At that moment, Aiden quickly dodged and leapt backward into the air, narrowly avoiding Mephisto's attack. The ground shattered where Mephisto's strike hit. Mephisto snarled, "I'll show you what it feels like to have your soul ripped apart for the rest of your life. Just like me." Hearing this, Aiden was shocked and thought, "Like him? What's that supposed to mean?" He then asked the Underlord, "Did you hide something from me?" The Underlord calmly replied, "Not exactly hide. I just used him for an experiment on Talos souls. I wanted to see if he could stay conscious while his soul was ripped apart and put back together over and over, and how to inflict pain on souls." Now back on the ground, Aiden sighed and said, I forgot who you were for a second. You're a lunatic too." The Underlord responded, "I guarantee you, not as crazy as you." Aiden thought to himself, "There are too many people here. We need to fight somewhere else." As Mephisto grew angrier, he charged at Aiden, shouting, "Where are you trying to run, pathetic human?" He opened his hand, preparing another attack, but Aiden dodged it again. Aiden, feeling the pressure, asked the Underlord, "You said he doesn't even have half his power, right? Yet he's still much stronger than I expected." Aiden was suddenly shocked as Mephisto rushed toward him again. Mephisto attempted to kick Aiden, but Aiden narrowly dodged using his sword, gritting his teeth as he struggled to hold his ground against Mephisto's attacks. However, Mephisto landed another powerful kick, sending Aiden flying backward into a pillar. The impact left Aiden in pain, and he struggled to recover. Mephisto smiled and taunted, "You're still standing after my attack? You're not just an ordinary human." Aiden trembled, thinking to himself, "I can't use Banshee's shield yet. It still needs time to recover. There's only one option to defeat Mephisto, though I don't like it." He then recalled, "Thanks to that top-grade potion Hakal gave me, all my abilities improved by a whole level, even ones I didn't expect. I'm not sure if I should be grateful to him." At that moment, Aiden decided to tap into the power of Beelzebub, and a red-black aura surged from his sword. Seeing this, Mephisto was shocked and gritted his teeth. "What is that energy?" Aiden brought his sword closer to his face, thinking, because of Hakal's potion, even Beelzebub's power of gluttony has become stronger. It can now manifest the souls it consumed and turn them into wraiths. He then shouted, "Skill, Wraith Enslavement." More dark, evil energy swirled around the sword, and Mephisto, stunned, exclaimed, "Wraith Enslavement? Only warlocks using dark demonic energy can use that. How can you use that power?" Just then, a high troll emerged from Beelzebub's sword and stood before Mephisto, addressing Aiden. "Master, give me your orders." Aiden smirked and said, "The real fight begins now," mocking Mephisto. "You're just Underlord's first test subject." Enraged, Mephisto shouted, "You son of a... I'll show you what true hell is like." The scene shifts to Ellis, who entered another realm for her sane awakening ceremony. As she stepped into this strange, mystical world, she was overwhelmed by the beauty around her. With wide eyes, she asked, "Where am I?" Looking at the breathtaking scenery, Ellis exclaimed excitedly, "It's so pretty." Suddenly, a figure appeared. He wore a cloak and lazily scratched his ear with one finger. "It's been a long time since I've seen a human," he said. "I need to go back to sleep, so just receive the holy power and leave." This man was the main god of the Holy Trinity from the Great Order of the Holy Fire, the master of the Holy Fire himself. Ellis, unfazed by the god's presence, pointed at him and asked, "Are you a god, uncles?" The Holy Fire god was completely taken aback by her casual attitude. "What? Uncle? And how dare you point your finger at me?" Ellis, still excited, responded cheerfully, "Do you know how difficult my life has been because of you? So you have to pay me back. With interest." The Holy Fire god was shocked and thought to himself, "What a brave kid, demanding a god to pay her back." Sweat dripped from his face as he wondered, what kind of bold child is this? Are there bad influences in her life? Then, with a smirk, he thought, but still, this is a perfect time. I've been bored. Looking at Ellis with amusement, he said, all right, fine. I'll pay you back for both this life and your past life. Ellis's eyes widened in shock. Past life? What do you mean, past life? The holy fire god explained. You're a child whose fate was altered by someone who also lost their own fate. I hope your journey is different this time, and I'm looking forward to your new destiny. The scene shifts back to Aiden, where he commanded the High Troll to kill Mephisto. The High Troll, wielding his staff, unleashed a powerful fire spell. The troll roared as flames erupted toward Mephisto, but Mephisto narrowly dodged the attack by flying into the air. Frustrated by the near miss, the High Troll gritted his teeth. Mephisto, still hovering in the air, suddenly flew directly toward the troll with fierce determination. Mephisto, enraged and sweating, glared at the High Troll. It's so annoying. How dare you use fire magic against me? You're nothing compared to him, he snarled, clearly frustrated by the troll's interference. In that moment, Aiden silently moved behind him, ready to strike. As Aiden grinned and yelled, how can you get distracted by a high troll? Test subject 1. Mephisto gritted his teeth in fury. Damn it. I forgot he's still here, Mephisto thought, but it was too late. Aiden's sword cut deep into Mephisto's back, severing one of his arms and a wing. Mephisto screamed in agony as the force of the attack sent him flying backward, smashing into a wall. The impact shattered the wall and cracked the ground beneath him, landing softly on the ground. Aiden looked at the dust settling in front of him, unable to see clearly through it. Smiling, he taunted, do you really think you can face me while distracted by a high troll? Mephisto, trembling and struggling to rise, put his hand to the ground. With anger burning in his eyes, he snarled, how dare you? My beautiful wings and my arm. His eyes gleamed with a furious glow. I'll never forgive you, you worthless creature. Mocking Mephisto further, Aiden smirked. Test subject 1. Why don't you ask the Underlord for new wings and arms? Maybe he'll give you cute angel wings this time. He paused for a moment, then added coldly, oh wait, that won't be happening. At that moment, the High Troll appeared behind Mephisto, preparing to unleash another fire spell. Seeing the troll behind him, Mephisto gritted his teeth, sweat dripping down his face. Aiden smirked, adding, you're going to die here. Suddenly, the entire area ignited as the troll cast his fire magic. Flames erupted everywhere, engulfing the space. Aiden, standing before the inferno, allowed a small smile to creep across his face as he said to the Underlord, I'm sorry, but I guess you'll need a new test subject. The Underlord replied calmly, you should worry about yourself first. My test subject won't die so easily. Out of the blazing flames, Mephisto emerged, his wings and arms fully restored. Aiden, shocked, watched in disbelief as sweat dripped from his face. I know he's a high-ranking Talos, but how is he still alive after that fire? And his wings and arms, how are they already recovered? Underlord gritted his teeth and replied, Mephisto is different from the other Talos. The reason he became a high-ranking Talos is because he has the highest endurance among them. Fire doesn't affect him. At that moment, Mephisto flashed a crazed smile, glancing at his unscathed arms. Aiden, confused, asked, fire won't work? But he was definitely scared of fire. Underlord nodded. Yes, he's terrified of fire. But that's because I experimented on him. I pushed him to develop a resistance to it. I even made him endure the hottest hellfire. And he survived? Aiden's eyes widened. So, you're the reason he didn't die in the fire. Mephisto flexed his wings and grinned maniacally. Your little tricks won't work on me, human. Do you see the difference between us now? Underlord turned to Aiden. Do you have any other plan? Aiden gripped his sword tightly, worry in his eyes. I'm not sure. I don't know if I can defeat him. Clenching his teeth, Aiden stepped forward. But I won't let him hurt innocent people. Both Aiden and Mephisto roared as they charged at each other. Their attacks collided with a deafening blast, sending dust and debris flying in every direction. The ground beneath them shattered from the impact. As the dust settled, Mephisto advanced, grinning as he looked down at Aiden, who lay bloodied on the ground, barely conscious. "You're stronger than the others," Mephisto sneered, "but you're still no match for me." Aiden's eyes fluttered open. "It's just like before," he thought. "I've lost my powers. I'm falling asleep again." His mind drifted back to his past life, to his colleagues, and he wondered, is this the end of my second life already? But then his thoughts turned to the friends he had made in this life, to the people he still needed to protect. He thought about his parents, his brother. Who will protect them if I'm gone? I have to be stronger than I was before, stronger than ever. As Mephisto prepared to strike Aiden again, he sneered, "It's an honor for you to die by my hands." Seeing the attack coming, Aiden thought, "I'm going to die again." He closed his eyes, resigning himself to his fate. So, this is the end for me, he thought. The last thing he saw was Mephisto's face. Suddenly, Underlord's voice rang out, filled with frustration. "You arrogant fool," he growled. "Fine, just use my power." A system notification appeared in Aiden's mind, reading, "The Underlord's power has been unleashed." In an instant, a surge of dark energy enveloped Aiden's heart, reviving him. Just as Mephisto's hand was about to strike, he froze, his body trembling uncontrollably. His eyes widened in shock as he saw a dark, purple energy swirling around Aiden's body. "What is this?" Mephisto muttered, his voice shaking. Aiden's eyes snapped open, now glowing with an eerie purple hue. The sinister aura surrounding him intensified, causing Mephisto to take a step back in fear. "I know this power," Mephisto stammered, his trembling growing worse as he watched Aiden slowly rise to his feet. With a cold, commanding voice, Aiden spoke, "Kneel." Without warning, Mephisto's body buckled, forcing him to his knees. He gritted his teeth, shaking uncontrollably, his fear palpable. Aiden clenched his fists, the purple energy pulsating around him, radiating malice. Mephisto's eyes widened in horror as he realized the truth. This is that psychopath's power? And I didn't even notice. Still kneeling, Mephisto lowered his head, voice filled with terror. "I greet the Underlord." Aiden stood over Mephisto, watching him kneel and tremble, his voice calm yet commanding as he explained. "This is the authority of the Underlord, a power natural to him, absolute authority over all. It's how the ruler of the underworld dominates its inhabitants. All the Telos, all who dwell in the underworld, bow in awe before him. That's the reason it's possible to rule the underworld." Still kneeling, Mephisto trembled under Aiden's power, his fear palpable. Aiden smiled faintly, addressing the Underlord in his mind. "This authority, it's even more powerful than I imagined." The Underlord chuckled, his tone filled with pride. "Ah, so you've finally realized the greatness of the mighty me. I am the one everyone in the underworld revered endlessly. And now, to see what's become of me." A hint of sadness crept into the Underlord's voice. Aiden, smirking playfully, raised his hands and gave a thumbs up, spinning theatrically. "No one asked you to enter my body, you know? But hey, I'll be magnanimous here. You're truly amazing. But only in the underworld, great lord of the underworld." The Underlord burst into laughter. "Go on, ramble all you want. Serves you right." Grinning wildly, Aiden bent down, laughing crazily. Mephisto, still on the ground, stared up at Aiden in terror, his body shaking uncontrollably. "You Underlord," he managed to stammer, sweat pouring down his face. Aiden's laughter grew louder. He gave Mephisto another thumbs up and said mockingly, "Oh, I almost forgot about you. I'm really pissed off right now, and it's all because of you. So, how about you come here and help me cool down?" Mephisto's eyes widened in horror, turning completely black as dread filled him. He thought to himself, "I'm screwed." At that moment, Ellis appeared, emerging from the altar. Hearing Aiden's voice, she immediately recognized it and started running toward him. "Aiden," she shouted, her voice filled with joy and excitement. But as soon as Ellis caught sight of Aiden, she froze in shock. Her eyes widened, and sweat dripped down her face. Mephisto lay trembling on the ground, something lodged in his mouth, while Aiden stood over him. Aiden, what are you doing? Ellis asked, her voice full of disbelief. Aiden turned to her, flashing a bright, happy smile. He waved cheerfully. Hey, Ellis. Looks like the awakening ceremony went off without a hitch, huh? Aiden walked closer to Ellis, his hand casually in his pocket, smiling. So, did you get a good look at that god's face? He asked cheerfully. Ellis clenched her fists excitedly as she approached. Yeah, but that weird guy didn't give me anything at all. He just kept glowing, and I came back empty-handed. Ellis's focus shifted to Mephisto, lying on the ground, trembling. Is that a huge bat? She asked, tilting her head. He looks hurt. Mephisto's body was drenched in sweat, his face turned away, trying to hide. Aiden chuckled, glancing at Mephisto. Yeah, he's my friend's pet. Ellis blinked in confusion. Pet? Yeah, Aiden grinned, pointing upward. We played too much today, so he's a little tired. Now he's resting. Mephisto, barely able to speak, whispered, Save me, please. Suddenly, the Underlord's voice boomed, laughing. So, you're telling her you were just playing with him? A moment ago, you told him to flail his legs in the air like that. Enjoying yourself? Are you? Aiden sighed, trying to stay calm. Come on, I can't tell her the truth, you know that. Ellis crouched beside Mephisto, peering at him with concern. Poor bat. Did you have a hard time? She gently patted his head, saying softly, Good job, Batty. As soon as her hand touched Mephisto, flames suddenly erupted all over his body. Ellis gasped, pulling her hand back in shock. Mephisto screamed, clutching his head. Please, stop the fire resistance test. I'm sorry for everything. Aiden's eyes widened, both confused and surprised. Those flames, they're divine powers, he thought. Ellis, she's really awakened. She's become a saint. Aiden grabbed his sword, his expression serious as he called out, Ellis, close your eyes. Mephisto, now completely engulfed in flames, writhed in agony as Aiden stood in front of him, preparing to end it. The Beelzebub sword glowed with a dark, ominous energy. Goodbye, Mephisto, Aiden whispered, as a swirling red-black aura poured from the sword. Beelzebub, devour him. Seeing the Beelzebub sword, Mephisto's eyes widened in terror. No, no way. Even Beelzebub, the monarch of gluttony, is here too? In mere seconds, the sword's dark power consumed Mephisto, his body vanishing into the void. Ellis, still standing behind Aiden with her hands covering her eyes, remained unaware of what had just transpired. Aiden, drenched in sweat, let out a long breath. It's finally over, he muttered, but before he could finish, his vision blurred, and he collapsed to the ground, his body completely drained. A few days later, at the Holy Church, Aiden stood among the devout, recounting the aftermath of the Hakal incident. After the events with Mephisto, the Church of Holy Fire began hunting down hidden heretics, Aiden explained. Countless heretics were caught during their search, leading to a large-scale purge within the church. The priests who had been trapped in Mephisto's fog of dreams were told that I assisted Ellis, the awakened saintess, in defeating the black magician. In the courtyard, Ellis was surrounded by excited priests, their voices rising in unison. Long live the saintess, they cheered. Ellis blushed, her face flushed with a mix of embarrassment and happiness as the priests praised her. The scene shifted to Aiden, standing by the window of his room, deep in thought. Staring out, his mind churned. This incident made me realize just how weak I still am, he mused. He put a hand on his chin, his eyes narrowing. Those who betrayed me in my past life would have easily defeated Mephisto if they encountered him now. But I wasn't even close to stopping him. I need to become stronger if I'm going to achieve my goal in this life. A voice interrupted his thoughts. What are you thinking about so seriously? Aiden turned, recognizing the voice. High Priest Curdle stood behind him, looking fully recovered, a result of Ellis's divine power. Curdle, Aiden said, a bit surprised. How are you here? He seems completely healed. Aiden thought to himself, all thanks to Ellis. Curdle approached, leaning on his staff. Thanks to you, Aiden, we were able to swiftly cleanse the heretics hiding within the church. Aiden chuckled, a faint smile crossing his face. I'm glad I could help. With a playful tone, he added, I have a really good dark mana detector, you see. In his mind, Underlord growled, annoyed. Maybe I should have let you die back then. I'm really starting to regret saving you. Curdle chuckled at Aiden's lighthearted comment, but quickly turned serious. I apologize for being late. With all the chaos in the church, it took me some time to come here. Then Curdle bowed his head, his tone humble and sincere. On behalf of the entire church, I want to express my deepest gratitude. Without your help, I wouldn't be alive today, nor would we have found the lost Saintess. The church itself might have fallen into ruin. You are, without question, the savior of our church. Aiden stood silently, taken aback by Curdle's words. For a moment, he couldn't find the right response. Then, a small smile crept onto his face. He placed one hand on the window and said quietly, Well, I owed someone from the church a big favor. I've just settled my debt, that's all. Curdle raised an eyebrow, curious. You owe someone from the church? Who might that be? Aiden's mind wandered back to his past life, to Curdle in his younger days. A certain someone, he thought, a pretty nosy guy who once told me, You don't need a reason to help others. Hearing this, Curdle laughed, his eyes gleaming with warmth. I'm glad one of our church members had such a noble mindset. Aiden smirked, thinking to himself, With this, I've repaid you for your kindness in my past life, old man. And with interest, too. Now we're even. Curdle turned to Aiden, a more serious expression on his face. Aiden, there's another matter I need to discuss with you. Aiden looked at him curiously, noticing the concern in Curdle's eyes. I've heard from the church members why you originally came here, Curdle said. The Saintess, Ellis, is the future of our church. According to our traditions, she must stay here to receive the proper education, something she hasn't had the chance to do until now. Curdle's tone grew somber as he continued. But considering the killings of the stigma holders 10 years ago, and the recent incident with Mephisto, it's clear our church has already failed in its duties to protect her and uphold our credibility. I don't think it's right for us to obsess over the church's future at the expense of the Saintess. We shouldn't hold her back. Aiden furrowed his brow, somewhat confused but intrigued by Curdle's words. What are you suggesting? Curdle smiled gently, sensing Aiden's uncertainty. After much discussion, we've come to a decision. We're going to set up a branch of the Holy Church in Remes territory. That way, Ellis can receive her training there while remaining in Remes, under your family's protection. Aiden blinked in surprise, but quickly realized the weight of Curdle's offer. A branch of the church in Remes? He echoed, thinking aloud. That's a huge deal. The church only establishes branches in regions of power and influence. A branch in Remes would symbolize the growing strength of the Remes family. Curdle nodded. Yes, it's an honor for your family and a symbol of trust. You'll be able to ensure Ellis receives the education she needs while keeping her safe. The scene shifted to a secluded area deep within the forest, where two men stood by a misty lake. One man crossed his arms in front of him, his gaze fixed on the water. The other stood behind him, arms folded behind his back. I had a feeling the Crimson Knight would mess up our plans, the first man said, his tone cold and irritated. He's always so emotional and clumsy with his work. We can't afford any more slip-ups. We need to be extremely cautious. We can't afford another failure. The first man's eyes narrowed, a glint of malice in them as he turned slightly. We need to ensure that Lord Sylvetta becomes the next Archduke. Nothing can get in our way. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this recap. If you'd like to see more Manhwa recaps like this, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. That way, you'll stay updated on all my future content. Until next time, take care.